Good morning. Glad you're having a wonderful day here, not somewhere else. We love having you here. If there's any new people, we have a welcome packet in the back of the sanctuary there, and the welcome committee would love to give you one of those and talk to you. So don't go without talking to our welcome committee. We have a song right now by George Rogers to start it off.
I was just putting my stuff away. I thought we were starting.
I did that
Okay.
to you last time.
I don't know. I consider this one a call to prayer. It's actually by Tom Waits. I don't know if you know Tom Waits, but Tom Waits likes to sing like this. And I'm not sure if he's putting it on or if he's acting or if it's really his throat. Now the moon is broken and the sky is cracked. Come on up to the house. The only things that you can see is all that you lack. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just passing through. So come on up to the house, where all your crying don't do no good. Come on up to the house. Come down off your cross, we could use the wood. Say, come on up to the house. Does life seem nasty and brutish and short? Then come on up to the house. The seas are stormy, but you can't find no port. Come on up to the house. Do the chorus now. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. This world is not my home, I'm just passing through. You got to come on up to the house. Let's see what happens next. Well, there's nothing in the world that you can't do. So come on up to the house. You've been whipped by the forces that is inside of you. So come on up to the house. Said, come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. World is not my home, I'm just passing through. So come on up to the house. That's it.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful. So I'm Christy Carr. I'm your practitioner for the day, and I'd like to welcome you. And I want to, just messed up, sorry. I want to welcome you to the center and read with me, where we inspire and empower people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. Are we going to have to do that again? Let's do it again. Our vision, we inspire and empower people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. Much better, thank you. Let's turn and wave to the camera while we invite the children up. I'd like to ask everybody to silence their cell phones right now. And I would also like to thank all the members who showed up early today to help get this together for us. We have a special time right now, and whoever has a birthday in July, please stand up. Oh. Happy birthday. Whoops. Okay, we have a few focus announcements, starting with Roy Wolfstead. His men's group is on Monday, July 8th from 7 to 9, where the men get together and talk about, I don't know. But it's a safe place for them to talk about whatever it is they talk about. There's There's a writing with spiritual practice, a kickoff, start your memoir with Mary, starting Tuesdays from 1:30 to 3:30. There's a book we're going to use, Old Friend from Far Away, for the journey to kickstarting our process, and you're going to write your own memoir. Sounds good. I'm in it. Caregiver support group with Reverend Mary Mitchell on Thursday, July 11th from 10 to 12. And you join together with other people who are taking care of their elderly, and you just tell your stories, and you get some, what do you say, feedback from your peers. So it's really good. I've heard good things about it. You're staring at me, Sally, you're in it. There's a Right Path Healing. It's a Right Path Health Screening on Friday, July 12th from 9 to 3. There's a page out there that you can read more about it, but it's here at the center on Friday, July 12th, as I said. And it's a screening for 11 different things, cardiovascular and abdominal screening. And so they also check the blood pressure, the pulse, and the level, or the oxygen level. So it's and they give you the complete report. So if you're interested in it, it's on the back table back there. Beating therapy with me on Saturday, July 13th from 1 to 4, where we get together. It doesn't have to be beating, but we get together and we just laugh, and we have the best time ever. And it's beating. There's tons of beads back there for you. But we just laugh, we come together, it's really fun. Next, the Essence of the Science of Mind with Reverend Dr. Mary, Sunday, July 14th from 11:15 to 12:15. And she kind of just goes over the history of the center. And this is one of the 2 classes you'll need to become a member. Roots of Science and Mind, a new class with a new practitioner, Rob Ward, starting Thursday, July 18th. This is online, and this starts from 7 to 9. The roots are going over the people who helped Earnest Holmes in his writing and his ideas. Crystal Bowl Healing, Friday, July 19th. Fantastic thing. If you haven't been there, please come and join us Thursday. She is just amazing at this. So come try it. SOAR Spiritual Adventure Renewed. Join them Saturday, July 20th for a day in Dunsmore with Hedge Creek Falls. They're going to I'm really off today. Botanical Gardens, Siskiyou Art Museum, Suspension Bridge Travel Trail, and more. So come join him for a good day outside. I'll have Susan come do the reading, and then we'll invite the bell 3 times, and then Johan will come and give us a treatment, and then we'll hear from Sue.
Good morning. Stories. Teddy Roosevelt, during the toughest time of his administration, had a certain practice. When a tough day would end, Roosevelt would take members of his staff and walk outside and search the night sky until he found a great square of Pegasus. Roosevelt would recite the same lines every night. Pointing to Pegasus, he would say, "This is the spiral galaxy in Andromeda. It is as large as our Milky Way. It is one of 100 million galaxies. It consists of 100 billion suns, even larger than our own." And then Roosevelt would smile and say, "Now I think we can handle our problems. Let's go to bed." He knew that if he kept his bearings, the grand potential of this nation and the world would be fulfilled. He knew that once our consciousness shifts from a feeling of separateness to one of wholeness, that our vast genius will serve the growth of ourselves and our planet. Metaphors. The more we are attached to people, things, ideas, and emotions, the less we are able to experience these phenomena authentically. Try squeezing a handful of water and see how quickly it disappears. But relax and let your hand flow in the same water, and you have the experience of the water as long as you like. This is the principle of detachment and flowing. Allowing things to flow naturally is the way of the universe. Wayne Dyer, you'll see it when you believe it. I invite you to please close your eyes or lower your gaze. Be comfortable. Be here now. And bring your consciousness to Spirit in this room, in your heart. Spirit all around, and know that there is only one God, one love, one life, one universal intelligence. And as you feel this and know this, know that you and I, each of us, beautiful and uniquely perfect are of that. And in this beautiful sanctuary, and for those of you at home or wherever you are, in your sanctuary, know that we are connected. We are one. We are light. Each one of us. All of us. Light. That's a great reminder. And we are perfect, whole, complete, just as we are. In this knowing, we celebrate our perfection. We celebrate this place that brought us together here today. And we celebrate spirit around always. We are also blessed to have Reverend Sue share her wisdom and her words, reminding us of our perfection. And with this feeling of blessing and joy, happiness, I am grateful. I am grateful for this teaching, for our connectedness, for everything that we have together, that Spirit has brought us here. And with this gratitude, I take my words, I release them into the law of mind, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you, Reverend Susan.
That was beautiful, Johan. One of our new practitioners, if you weren't here last week. Beautiful job. The dogs barked. I thought that was somebody coughing, and I thought they needed help. I thought, oh my God, it's turning into a dog bark. The precious little animals. Good morning. Yeah, it's going good. Because we get to talk about the gifts of imperfection. We can all relax. So the book of the month is by Brene Brown, and it's just a small book, but filled with incredible wisdom and heart. So I invite you to get a copy of it. And if this is an area of yours that you are working on, she'll take you by the hand and heart and lead you to a greater understanding of who you are. So the whole month we're talking about the gifts of imperfection. He agrees, she. Who's perfect, though, is what our topic for today is. Who's perfect? And that's a big one, isn't it? Because how much, if you think about it, how much of your own personal suffering is linked to striving to be perfect at anything? Just give that a moment's pause. We are so used to beating ourselves up inside for every failure that we're the only ones keeping track of. And we unintentionally start to then hold these beliefs about perfection that are only inevitably stunting our growth and our joy and our progress. So I've often wondered about this, and I'll share a couple of, kind of dull stories, but they're part of my understanding for my own personal journey. And it started when I was in 7th grade and I was sewing an apron. So I don't know if any of you go back to those days where you start to something the very first time. The shoulders get tense and you're just, before you do that first stitch, you're looking at everything and making sure the bobbin tension's just correct. And then you start to sew, and you're going along the line. I mean, they've got lines for you to follow, but something happens to it. It just kind of does this thing, and then you kind of pull it up, and then you realize, and all that effort, you also bunched up the rest of the material in it. So then you've just got this seam and then a bunch of material stuffed over in it. So you got to start ripping it out and start again. Again and again, I would do this until I wanted to have that 5/8 inch margin just perfect. And then I started to realize, I don't think I've ever shopped at Kmart, that was my store, and looked at any seam. I never looked at the inside of anything to see if it was perfect. So I started to let it go. And then I got into buttonholes. And I thought, boy, those were the big challenge. But then what I discovered, buttonholes, you just get a bigger button. And nobody ever knows how yucky it looks underneath there. So I started realizing that I could follow my dream of sewing and having the cutest clothes ever in school. But they all did ultimately look a little homemade, but they were so comfortable, and they were my creation. Was I perfect? No. But I started to let that go and buy more clothes. That's one way I dealt with that. So if you've ever had that, you realize oftentimes when we butt up against our imperfections, we just have to move on. We can't struggle there. We can't allow ourselves to stop our progress there. It's always about, can we just do our best? Don Miguel. Just do our best. Being less than perfect helps us to relax into a certain sense of self-acceptance and embracing that we are just trying to do our best. There will forever and ever and always be a better way. That just takes the load off your shoulders right there. That lets go of that paralyzing effect of our own inner judgment, our frustrations with ourselves. When we allow, here's the key message today, we allow that divine grace to just lead us and to remind us we are enough. We're living and meeting our challenges every day, and we are enough in that as long as we try our best. And most importantly, we're called to love ourselves. So being willing to listen to others without resentments is the first step, and probably one of the hardest, because it's going to depend on how the other is expressing it. Are they expressing it from a place of love, kindness? Is that leading the way? Then we can transform. However, if we're being criticized with judgment and shame, then that feedback, we start to close down. We can't find our way as easily. This path of accepting imperfection is very key to appreciating who we are. And this is, again, where the brilliant way Brené Brown brings us to reconsider, to explore what kind of patterns you have developed, a pattern of living that you've set up for yourself. What have you done? That you've adopted this certain pattern, and now you're the one living by your own rules. And it's challenging. It's challenging to unsee it once you've created a pattern. She reminds us that the patterns we live by only have the greatest meaning to us. Nobody else cares. Nobody else even knows what they are. This could be through the drama, what we've assigned meaning to, whatever pattern it is. It could be because of the drama of whoever was judging us, our parents, our mentor. If it was done harshly, then we kind of hold that idea as we move through life, a little bit looking over our shoulder all the time. What am I doing wrong here? Now, some of the patterns that we develop are healthy. I'm not going to take all these patterns away, but here's another kind of personal story that just as I was writing this, it kind of came up, so I share it with you, and that has to do with piano lessons. How many of you had lessons when you were little. Piano, look at, any trauma there still? Any trauma? I won't mention it, Lindy, I promise. But I'm going to tell my own story, not about how I was a mother and watching my kids do lessons, but what I learned about myself, I really, really wanted to learn, but I was so dang lazy in practicing. You can't fake it. You can't fake it. You can't show up at that lesson and pretend, yeah, I got my scales. I got them down. You don't need to hear them. Just trust me, I got them. I got it with one hand, and I can just get it. I can do it till it flips. One hand. But my teacher, she was really, really picky. And she called me out. How dare she, I know. She called me out my lack of applying practice time. How insulting is that? I thought, the nerve that she would know me that way. I mean, I didn't really connect the fact that I wasn't practicing, and it was just so obvious. So she would scold me, and she'd show me how to do it and what I was totally not doing. So I would stand behind her. This is so bad. I would cover my mouth and stick my tongue out at her the whole time she's trying to teach me. So bad. It's so bad. I think about that, how ugly I must have been if I pulled my hands down, terrified if she turned over and looked at me. She never knew I was sticking my tongue out. Huh? Yeah, maybe. I never looked. God, I've got so much cleanup work to do in my life. But how spiritual is that? You know, is that the way to skillfully handle being told what is a better way to do something? So now I'm starting over. When I retired from nursing, one of the things I really, really wanted, really, really bad, and Charlie got it for me, was a keyboard. Because we sold our piano, and I really still have this urge to want to play. So let me tell you about that. I don't approach it now like I'm going to be perfect right away. I just want to kind of tickle the keys and do some chanting. Learn how to get that rhythm and do Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shanti Shanti. Just play with it a little bit. But you know how I handle it? I keep it covered. It's really helpful. Just keep it covered. Just keep it covered. And you'll get around to it. Just keep it covered. Keep procrastinating. Because one of these days you're going to pull that cover off and you're going to be perfect. So it's still in me. I need to turn around and stick my own tongue out at myself because it's silly. I need to liberate myself from such a pattern of this procrastination. I simply have to take action. And I know I can do this, and I know it's going to be a vulnerable step, but I want to fulfill that before I die, that desire. I want to put the effort behind it. I want to play the Tennessee Waltz again. I want to play Puff the Magic Dragon. I boast about those. They're so simple. I want to do my scales. I want to do all these things, and I just have to sit down and know I can do it. I also did this with the recorder. That was another thing. I got the best recorder, nice wooden one. Kept it in the box. Kept it in a box for a couple of years because I knew I could see myself out on a river, in the mountain, in a meadow, playing a tune. I could see it. But it was safe in the box right now. But what I did do was took lessons. It was an auction here, and I bought the lessons. Dr. Andrea and I both did. And I was getting better at it. And then we decided, hey, let's do a duet on Christmas. And we did it. It was horrible. It was horrible. There was no other music that day because Christmas was a Sunday. And so we'll do the music. Now she's got these delicate little hands. So I'm very critical of her little hands because they can't cover the holes just right. So it kind of goes when she's doing it, blowing through. The difference between she and I, she thought we did great. And I thought, we didn't, Andrea. It wasn't recorded at the time. But what I appreciated about her, she didn't care if it was perfect. She just had really a lot of fun doing it. How I handled it? Here's my confession. I blamed her for her little hands. Because she wasn't as, I thought, well, I could have done better, but it was your little hands, and you were off note, and I never told her that. I hope she never listens to this message, and don't you ever tell her either. And don't ever ask us to ever do that again. It was traumatizing, but hopeful. Imperfection is what it was. But Andrea knew the joy behind it, and it was sort of exhilarating to actually try to go through that. But my aim here and the message behind all of this is not about picking up your instruments again. That's not the message here. We can poke fun at that. But it is revealing to us that it's liberating to release our own judgment of ourselves on a scale of perfection. That scale of perfection that we seem to align ourselves with, that's what's hindering joy. That's what's hindering our growth. And it can be so innocent. It can be so innocent. I desire to be good at something that calls me, but I'm going to hold back out of fear of never being good enough, even before I even try. Anybody here? A little bit just holding back. Now I want to, I'm at the other end of my life cycle. So I want to embrace with a more compassionate approach in my own soul and privately step into my desires and take action. Because all this striving through a lifetime for many of you has been a waste of time because it's narrowed your field. Dr. James Golden, one of the founders of our center, he once said to me when I was in counsel with him, I was pitying myself for not being good enough at something. It was probably the bell. I have bell trauma. And because I could never get it just right to please him, to please James. The bell is not about pleasing anybody. It's about getting into the soul of the bell, into your heart, and let that rhythm shake your own soul up to wake you up. I'll go back to my pity story with him. But he said to me, whose measuring stick are you using to judge yourself? Now, there's a really interesting biblical reference to a measuring stick, and it's helpful here because they're referred to in the Bible as comparison sticks. Did you know that? Comes in Romans somewhere. There's 36 inches of judgment with these comparison sticks. They can be used as a crutch or a weapon or a tool to overrule someone else. It's a stick made for comparison, and it can be our downfall. It can hold us back and leave us wounded, or it can wound others. We will never measure up with that stick. Such is the lie of the measuring stick. That was what was helpful for me that day with Dr. James, because that way of judging and comparing ourselves just causes us to stumble even more. So instead of automatically reaching for that measuring stick and put it in your hand, throw it down and put your hand in the faith of the divine. Reach for that divine way and be led. Reach up, reach in, reach out. But it's that idea of now I long to just be led by love and compassion. That's within. There's the divine presence within me, around me, and through me. And that will hold all my imperfections with this love, with this grace, and that will lead each one of us. It's all our stories. It'll lead us onward to the wholeness that is always perfect within each one of us. So bottom line, we don't dismiss our imperfections, but know that they are part of our wholeness, necessary for us to stay in our personal power as we are continuing to strive to be authentic in all matters and compassionate and giving ourselves room and others for self-acceptance, growth, and that deeper, deeper connection we long for to reside in the divine way. Ernest Holmes says, "We are to know that passing events cannot hinder the onward march of the soul. The temporal imperfection of the human cannot dim the eternal integrity of the divine." So powerful. We take a breath there and we just realize loving ourselves is key. Loving ourselves. This is the lesson. This is what Brené's research came to her understanding. She took a step back and she started looking with a different perspective on all the research of all the different stories of people that were living with this sense of not good enough. And she realized what they really were trying to find was the wholeheartedness of living. And what she found was in the way stunned her, because the patterns revealed the do's and the don'ts that we come to paralyze ourselves in. The do column shared words of worthiness, rest, play, trust, faith, intuition, hope, authenticity, love, belonging, joy, gratitude, creativity. Words that open us to what is. The don't column stung with the words of perfection, numbing, certainty, exhaustion, self-sufficiency, being cool, fitting in, judgment, scarcity. Which column do you want to align with? Her research and her stories that follow in her book will be helpful, but she writes from a very personal perspective as well that ultimately taught her, and she invites us all to consider how she learned how to worry more about how we feel and less about what other people think. Did you need to write that down? I did. How do we feel? That's all. That's all your heart can really tell you the truth about. Is how do you feel? Doesn't matter what other people think. We can't go around our lifetime cleaning up after that all the time. It's exhausting. So she said, let go of the need to please, perform, and perfect. How does that feel? Because she said this will lead you to saying no more authentically. No, I can't do that. Or yes, oh yes, invite me to that night watch. It'll make you break your patterns. It'll make you say yes to life in a way that serves your soul and allows that divine to work through you. So who's perfect? Richard Rohr closes this message with these thoughts. If you have forgiven yourself for being imperfect and falling, you can now do it for just about everybody else. If you have not done it for yourself, I'm afraid you will likely pass on your sadness, absurdity, judgment, and futility to others. Ooh, zing. He ends with this: we are not all weeds, but we're not all wheat either. We have to learn even now to accept and forgive this mixed bag of reality in ourselves and in everybody else. I'm sorry, but it keeps coming back to that. So many people are questioning what do we do now? What do we do in these times? How do we keep our hearts open to the things that are disappointing us so deeply to our soul. Love yourself first. Love your way through. Love your way through. Those rough edges, love your way through. And do your best in inviting others into that loving space. So, easy to say and challenging to do. So this week, just kind of pay attention. What is hindering my growth? And see it with your eyes, broadening your perspective to see that I'm choosing now to see with the eyes of the divine presence behind my eyes, through my eyes, seeing what is. Let the divine be my witness intuitively. Let the grace of the divine speak through me. What imperfections are opening you to a connection of a greater idea of wholeness and your beauty? See it within yourself. And then be generous in seeing it in others as you honor. This is the sense of self. Whew. We're sharing this planet with everyone's imperfections. That's getting crowded. But we can do this. In Buddhism, Pema Chodron has this: the most fundamental harm we can do to ourselves is to remain ignorant by not having the courage and respect to look at ourselves honestly and gently. So we stay in our power. Not power over, power within, connected with the divine influence. Avoid trying to be perfect as we look into our matters of oneness, remembering who's perfect anyway, and release the need to try to measure up to a standard that seems so unreal. These are projections, and it's not necessarily the divine way. Now, in the class that I'm just about to finish, The Dharma Way by Simon Haas, challenging book to get, but you can get it online. He's a great reader of the book. It's filled with insight. And it's filled with a handout to show us this bhakti, this love, this way of being. But what's happening, I see in a lot of us in the class is, we're getting a little bit, I failed again this week. I failed again. That's okay. At least you're awake to it. And you can try again in the next breath. So, release the need to measure up to what's unreal and only a projection. The divine is seeking to express through you and liberate you, and this is through self-expression and self-acceptance and self-love. So Roy turned me on again to After the Ecstasy in the Laundry by Jack Kornfield. And he talks about, in one of his chapters, awakened emotions and ordinary perfection. And he talks about ordinary perfection. And what I wanted to point out in this, without the understanding of ordinary perfection spirituality can put us at odds with our life. The images we have been taught about perfection can be destructive to us, like the Eskimo hunter who asked the missionary, "If I did not know about God and sin, would I still go to hell?" "No," said the priest, "not if you did not know." "Then why," asked the Eskimo earnestly, "did you tell me?" Right? Sometimes I'm standing up here and I'm wondering, why did I tell him that? Is that going to add more to that imaginary measuring stick? These are tools. These are opportunities. There was another Rinpoche, or actually it wasn't a Rinpoche, it was just a practitioner of Tibetan Buddhism, and there was no author to it. With all my years of spiritual practice, there was some way I didn't know myself. Think about yourself here. I tried so often to meet the expectations of others. Who I was had become buried and invisible. We had a very social family. Everything outside was important. I was trained as a child to be socially skilled. This is how I approached spiritual life, trying to become someone special and do it right. I took on all the legwork as the hostess, caregiver, and benefactor of the Western tours of my lamas, and arranged countless retreats and fundraising events for over 10 years. I invited everyone to stay with me. It was a busy and exciting time. Although I was connecting with the Tibetan spiritual richness, I gradually realized I was living someone else's life. Then there came a growing sadness and disenchantment, not with the Tibetans, not with them, but with myself. Even though I felt I needed to help, I got sick. Then I started going off to meditate for longer and longer periods. At first I felt guilty, but I was loving the solitude. I discovered I am more naturally introverted and artistic than I knew. After a trip I took to Asia, I came home and found myself longing just for an ordinary life. I started saying no to everything. I simply couldn't do it anymore. I moved out to the country, lived quietly, cared for animals, my garden, played the piano. Now I silently sponsor 2 monasteries instead of running around trying to be special. Nurturing the earth is a simple way. That's what comes out of me naturally. I didn't know who I was. So much more. Nice read, nice summer read. Just pick it up anywhere and find yourself looking back at you. Judy. Henry Nouwen is a great author, and he said, as we go into our prayer, letting go of the desire to be perfect lovers and allowing God to love people through us, that's the great spiritual call that is given to you and to me. I love that. So let's let go. We start our prayer this time with the idea of letting go, being connected to that source. The source that's always leading us to wholehearted living. I pray that the message that fell into your heart today, that it inspires you to let down, to let go of always striving to be heard, to be seen, and move back into the arms of the divine and see with divine eyes and heart what it means to simply love yourself, to embrace yourself, to let go of all the patterns that no longer serve you, and to stand in a space of valuing that you are enough, that the divine expressing in you, as you, through you, has a purpose for you to follow from within, to be guided, to be reassured that you're living a life of kindness and compassion, empathy and forgiveness. You see, it's the only way. As we put down all our measuring sticks, all the history, and drown out all the voices of judgment, harassment, belittling, feel it just drain out of you. Let it pool at the base of your feet, and let this warm weather that we're having dry it up forevermore. It's not yours to own. And then feel from above a sense of anointing you with a love, a grace, an understanding, a clarity, a truth, a power, a source, that now you rely on that. I am that I am. And I give thanks for allowing myself to be loved, and to love. I release this prayer in deep gratitude that we're all on this journey together, bumping into our imperfections all the time. And we just reach back with love. Thank you, God, for the powerful wisdom of so many that lead us into our greater understanding. I release these words knowing that we're all one in this. And together we all say, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Thank you. George, no pressure, but if you could do as perfectly as you can.
As ever, I am very grateful for Sue, and I have spent perhaps my whole life preparing for this moment when I could demonstrate the message of imperfection here today. Sue has so much lovely stuff that she brings, not the least of which is her own self-reflection about how her life, it's very generous to do that. Well, here's the thing. Well, in keeping with my promise. You see, I once heard Paul Stuckey say that the thing about Peter, Paul, and Mary is that they provided, people would listen to their music and they'd say, well, I can do that. So that's what I'm trying to offer here, is that once... If an angel sings, would you hear? Or put your fingers in your ears? Would you cover up your heart? Or ask love in to calm your fears? Still the noise of all your woes, quiet all your fears. The angels sing their love to you. They sing that you will hear. As rainbows come and rainbows go, they sing that you may hear. The angels sing that you may know. Ow! 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 You are precious, loved and dear. Hold it dear, the angel's song sent to sustain you through the years. The angels sing that you may know you are precious, loved and dear. If an angel sings, would you hear? Or would you put your fingers in your ears? Would you cover up your heart or ask love in to calm your fears? You know, I was asked to do like 3 songs. I've got 10 songs in my list. Because I wanted to get the perfect song. May I do one more? Okay. It's a long way out and turning home. The rivers all are wide. The path that you have found will carry you to the other side. And the voice that echoes in your heart tells you you must try. So you turn your steps once more into the morning. To the morning where everything is new. The morning where the light will shine for you. The morning where you try once more to be true. You turn your steps once more into the morning. With your broken vessel overflown, your heart knows where you must go. You boasted of the strength you've shown as if it were your own. Give credit now where credit's due. You never were alone when you opened up your heart into the morning. To the morning where everything is new. The morning where the light will shine for you. The morning where you try once more to be true. You turn steps once more into the morning. Now say no more as life turns into light upon the way. And my words cannot explain the truth nor clearly show the way. But loving is the teacher who comes to us each day as we begin to make our way into the morning. To the morning where everything is new. The morning where the light will shine for you. The morning where you try once more to be true. Ooh, you turn your steps once more into the morning. Thank you. Thank you. There's something else that goes on here that's, there's an inside joke that's been going on for weeks, and what it has to do with. There's a song that's been going on for weeks, and it has to do with this right here, and you know, except for being about happiness, I think that's the part that I like the best about this. But I'm not, it's really a questionable song to be playing here. Judy, you want to come on? Am I on? Yeah, you're on. One. Well, and I'll be kind. Here we go. Okay, now the first part is Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine. Never understood what he said, but I held him in mind. And he always had a mighty fine wine. Joy to the world.
Thank you for all your songs. May I have the ushers come forward, please? As I prepare to give my offering, my heart is filled with joy and love and appreciation as we dig deep as a spiritual practice and join with all, knowing that what is offered here is for our spiritual well-being. I am filled with the gratitude, with knowing life stays in balance, for I give, I receive. I give thanks for the blessed donations received in the offering this morning and during the week. I know each dollar supports this spiritual family in many ways as we grow together, pray together, give thanks for all that this center has been blessed with today and always, and so it is. George, how about one more?
Another thing that I'm grateful for is for Judy Preble. She has a sense of time and space. Yay, Judy! Watch out now, I'm going to plug in this guitar. In this world, there's a whole lot of trouble, baby. In this world, a whole lot of pain. In this world, a whole lot of trouble, but a whole lot of ground to gain. Why take when you could be given? Why watch as the world goes by? It's a hard enough life to be living. Why walk when you could fly? There's a star on the far horizon, rising bright in an azure sky. For the rest of the time that you're given, why walk when you could fly? In this world, there's a whole lot of gold, and in this world, a whole lot of pain. In this world, you've a soul for a compass and a heart for a pair of wings. When you spend your whole life wishing, wanting and wondering why, it's a hard enough life to be living. Why walk when you could fly? Thank you, thank you. You done? You ready?
That's it. We love listening to you, but we're hungry, huh?
You know, there's a great Lyle Lovett song about being in church and being hungry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, thank you so much, George. I wanted to invite you to the bookstore, to the practitioners in service today. The kitchen cookies have everything prepared for you in there, social hall. And if you're new with us, find somebody to join with you. We're happy to make you feel comfortable. And I wanted to share one final Sufi message from a Sufi master on today's message. My life is complicated, and still I suffer a lot. But it doesn't mean anything. It is ephemeral, just a part of living. I also feel the suffering of the world very deeply. I do what I can. Yet it is also very clear that things are as they are, and to have any helpful impact, my actions must come from the heart of peace. This is my goal, to show the peace in the midst of it all. We can do that. So have a blessed day and walk with that peace in your heart. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, George, Judy, everyone here. It makes a community to make a service, so thank you. Appreciate it.